So working through my readings through Mastering Testament Greek, program that Daryl Burling has put together. I'll leave a link for that down below. But just to share with you some of the things, I've started working with 2 Peter, and if anybody is aware of this, 2 Peter is difficult Greek in comparison to some other parts of the New Testament. But what's interesting is there's a lot of vocabulary to learn in 2 Peter. Peter or his translator, or however this worked, as amanuensis if he had one. Either way, there's this very good vocabulary, and that's why you have to learn quite a bit of the vocabulary for 2 Peter. But what's interesting, what's kind of struck me that I never really noticed when I was reading it in English, was how much repetition there is. He starts out at the beginning and he's talking about something like equally precious or like precious, and then he's using that same root again down here. He begins talking about faith, then he ties it back in. He starts with knowledge. He develops that theme of knowledge. He starts with virtue. He develops the theme of virtue. He starts in verse 3 with godliness. He picks it back up in verse 6. He talks about haste or effort. He picks that back up. But just real quickly to show you this, what I never noticed, at least reading in English, is he talks about how they're going to have, for so richly will be supplied to you an entrance, and isodos, isodos, an entrance, an isodos, an entrance is going to be given to you. But then, that's in verse 11, but then he uses basically the same root with a different prefix in verse 15. Again, there's that idea of haste that we saw back here, or diligent effort or something like that. But it's his desire. He will hasten or strive that each one would have this in remembrance, that they would be able to remember these things after his exodos or exodon. That is his personal exodus, his departure. But look at the contrast. They're getting an Isodos, he's getting an Exodos. So they're getting an entrance into the kingdom as he's trying to make sure that after he makes his exodus, after he makes his departure, they'll still be able to get their entrance by remembering these things. So they have an Isodos, and his goal is that they could have these things so that they could get their Isodos after he makes his Exodos. So anyways, just wanted to share a few thoughts with you. It was just really interesting to me, all the repetition and how he takes, and at the very beginning of the book, takes some of these themes and begins to develop them throughout the book. So just want to share that with you, and hope the Lord blesses you today.